Last week I talked about multi-channel media intelligence. This week I'm talking about multi-segment audience intelligence. Not to be confused with social listening or brand monitoring. Those are still important at a very high level. They give you directional insights, but they're not actionable at all. Multi-segment audience intelligence is about dissecting audiences, analyzing their sharing consumption, sharing habits and conversations, and using that data to get actionable and defendable insights that you can use to make decisions. Now, with this type of data, you can understand the attitudes and perceptions that each audience has about your brand. You can alter your narrative to make sure that they align with what your audiences actually care about. You can also extract key phrases and language that your audience uses and use that to inform your SEO strategy or the keywords that you're bidding on in search. And you can use audience data to inform just about every marketing and communications asset that you create. Headlines, blog posts, social copy, ad copy, search, pretty much anything that you have control over. Now, this is just scratching the surface. There are a multitude of other data points and insights that you can get from multi-segment audience intelligence. But it takes time and it takes effort. So let's take a look at what I call the multi-segment audience matrix. Now on the left, you're going to notice brand and competitive mentions. This will obviously be a priority for you so that you can track audience relevancy, reputation, and other brand factors against each audience. And depending upon the line of business you work in, you want to analyze certain topics that describe the market and the problems that you're trying to solve. Now along the top, you have all of your audiences. Now obviously, this will be different for every company, but I'm sure you can follow the logic here. Now, starting at the very top is your C-suite, your CEO, president, founder. Then moving down, you have your business decision maker or your COO, CFO, maybe the head and or GM of a business unit, industry, brand, or product. IT decision makers, everyone from your CIO and CTO to the head of IT and engineering. It'll always vary depending upon the size of the company. Senior IT professionals can be described as the VP or senior director of IT, engineering, infrastructure, security, cloud, or data science, and pretty much everything in between. Engineers and developers are pretty self-explanatory, but even this group can be segmented further based on what type of language they use to develop software or what platform they use. Or are they in DevOps, AI Ops, or Data Ops? Two things about tech and business reporters. We're talking about analyzing them as individuals, not specific to the media they write for. And while there is overlap, segmenting is still necessary to get those unique insights. Here also for analysts, we're talking about analyzing specific analyst conversations and sharing habits, not necessarily the reports that they're publishing into the marketplace. And lastly, influencers can be described as the top 10 security influencers talking about AI or the top 50 influencers talking about 5G and data operations. In other words, influencers are basically anything you define them to be. So the next natural question is, why would you spend so much time and resources measuring share of conversation for each of these audiences? Well, I'm not going to tell you to do that. Actually, I take it back. It might be one data point on a slide somewhere, but what I'm going to tell you is to contextualize their conversation and narratives within each audience, because I can guarantee you this. The way the C-suite talks about something is 100% different than the way a developer may talk about it, whether it's a brand, product, or a topic like data wrangling. And on that, the reason I have topics here is because you need to be spending more time understanding how audiences talk about technology, because that's where you're going to find white space. If you recall, a few months ago, I talked about the supply and demand of brand relevance, which is about understanding what stories and topics are demanding the attention of your audience, and in this case, it's specific people, and then asking yourself if the content you are supplying to the market is meeting the demand of your audience. You can only get this type of data from multi-segment audience intelligence. It's about finding white space at the topic level so you can uncover unique insights about each audience, mine their coverage, cluster it into subtopics, and then contextualize the results. Here's a quick example of what that may look like. We're going to take a quick look at each of these audiences and how they're talking about security. Now, this was just a cursory analysis looking back over the last 10 days, so it's not as in-depth as I'd want it to be. But your C-suite audience, they're talking about cloud security at a very high level. Your business decision makers, scaling security within the organization. Your IT decision makers and IT professionals are talking about threat detection, malware, ransomware, and your engineers and developers are really focused on security operations and hackers. Now, as you can see, when you segment audiences and contextualize their conversations at that level, you can get very specific, actionable, and defendable insights that you can use to inform all of your programming. And yes, you can measure share of conversation, share of engagement. In fact, it'd be pretty interesting to see the variance of each, especially when you stack one audience against the other. But that, my friends, is why multi-segment audience intelligence crushes all social metrics, when you can dig deep and uncover the insights of each audience. Well, that concludes our time together. I hope this video was as insightful for you to watch as it was for me to record. I hope you have a great week. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.